we are going to talk about a topic I'm passionate about, the sort of intergenerational patterns and the dramas that get passed down from generation to generation. We all think we're like kind of starting fresh, and then we're like, oh man, look, I'm actually carrying a lot of baggage with me. Wow, like we don't even realize it. So that's where we're going. But I'm really curious. Like, I know why I'm passionate about this. It has a lot to do with my own story and discovering my own patterns and drama that I I had thought I had left behind. And I'm wondering if it's the same for you.
Yeah. I always say, like, our intergenerational stuff, it's less like a suitcase and more like a backpack that you just can't get off. It's just like, you think you're done and you turn around and there's nothing there and you're like, all right, I'm good. But you don't realize, no, it's right there on your back. But it doesn't have to stay that way. So why did I start in this? Well, the story I always tell is I grew up in a home where the 4 horsemen mindset was used to parent children. And the 4 horsemen are pain, blame, shame, and avoidance.
Ooh.
And that was like,
I'm getting like Greek mythology vibes from this 4 horsemen thing.
Yes. Exactly. And so those were the 4 things that were often used to keep kids in line. And it was what was used to keep my mom in line and my mom's mom in line, and, and so on and so forth. And when I was in my 20s, I had an experience with my sister. So I have a sister. She is 20 years younger than me.
20 years younger than you. Wow. Yeah. Are you the oldest?
What my mom was thinking.
Wow.
Psychologically, I am. Psychologically an only child, right? Because by the time she came along, I was like literally in college. Wow. And I remember she was sitting at the counter, my grandmother's kitchen counter one day, and she was probably about 2. She was still in her little high chair. So I don't even think she was 2 yet. She was verbal. Mm-hmm. And she did or said something to me, and it just made me so angry. And I turned and I looked at her and I said, "Don't make me come over there. I'm so angry I could smack you right now." Mm-hmm. And I just remember her face like just dropping, like she was like, okay. And I knew that unfortunately I wasn't the first one that she had heard that from. I was told that growing up, right? But I remember in that moment, and I didn't have kids or anything during this time, looking at her and just feeling like, what did I just do? Did I seriously just threaten a baby? Like, what? And there was this split second moment where I realized, like, that is not okay with me. Like, I would never hurt her, like I was the cool big sister, like, no, that's not what happens. It's not my role. And I just went over and I picked her up and I was like, I'm so sorry. I would never hurt you. I'm so sorry. And it was that moment was like one of those pivotal moments where I realized, like, we got to change some stuff. Like, I do not want to bring these fear-based mindsets into my relationship with my little sister or with my children or into my marriage. I want these things to be different. So in that moment, I made a decision to shift things. I didn't know what that meant, what it would look like, how I was going to begin, what exactly I was shifting besides threatening toddlers. I wasn't going to do that again, but I didn't know what all that entailed. And then I also had, a lot of other issues, like I was raised primarily by my grandmother. My father and my mother divorced when I was a year old. My father left, didn't come back. And that left my mother with a lot of stuff, and so there was just a lot of different patterns that had formed, in the generation before me and in previous generations. And then some of those patterns also led. And so in addition to that, I also experienced my own traumas growing up, like molestation and things like that impacted who I was, how I viewed the world, how I viewed myself. And when I got into old enough to go into graduate school, I decided, okay, I have some stuff I got to heal. So I could either go to therapy or I could get a PhD and learn my way into healing. And that seemed like the best option to me. I
kill 2 birds with one stone.
Exactly.
It's another violent metaphor.
Hard.
Yeah,
Huh?
it's which is another violent metaphor. Oi, I just realized. Yeah. But
Yes.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
that's amazing that you. That's such a cool. It's so cool that you were able to experience this language, this reaction that was in you before you had kids, right? Because
Yeah.
if you didn't have that moment with her, you would have just kind of been like, I got my stuff together. I'm good. Blah, blah. You know what I mean? The thing that we all do
Exactly.
because we're only interacting with other adults. We're not in that parent child relationship. And that was like
Mhm.
a gift.
It really was.
Yeah.
It really was. And then, so long story short, I learned a lot, started working with parents even before I had kids, which I thought was very funny, and they were very brave souls. And specialized in families and trauma healing and all of that stuff. And then I realized, spoiler alert, you can't learn your way into healing. It doesn't work that way. So I eventually went in, did my own healing process, went on my own healing journey. I'm still on it, I mean,
Yeah.
it still happens. But what I realized when I got into private, because I've been in this field over 20 years now, which is hard to believe. But the more and more I talk to parents, I realize that this is common, where parents have these light bulb moments where they're like, wait a minute, I need to change some stuff, but I don't know what to change or how to change it.
Mhm.
Because that's all they knew is so they would read these books and go to these courses and do all these things and realize, like, I got the information,
Yeah.
but when the trigger hit the road,
Yeah, yeah.
forget it. It's like it all goes out the window. So now I love, love, love helping parents who want to raise their kids differently
Yeah.
from how they were raised. And
I'm
yeah,
so
healing
with you. The
process is
stack
awesome.
of books is very common that people come to me. They have this like stack of books. I've read all these books.
Yes.
We are good at learning a lot. I think that like a lot of us are kind of good at learning a lot.
Yes.
But so to go back to your own story, I mean, like for me, one of the things I was raised with was my dad spanked me. He had this like
Mm-hmm.
rage, and he was scary, and
Yeah.
he spanked me, and that was normal, right? Like that was normal
Mm-hmm.
in the 80s.
Yep.
Um and for him, in our talks later, like we've talked about these things, and he's talked about how when he was raised, his father beat him with a strap, with a belt,
Mm-hmm.
and it left welts on his body,
Yeah.
and that was normal in the 1950s. And it's so and so I'm wondering, like, was that also part of your story, being raised with corporal punishment and that being totally normalized in your family?
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, that's the pain horseman.
Mm.
100% belts, shoes, switches, which some people don't know what those are, but those are literally like branches off trees. You know, all kinds of things where it's just like, and sometimes you had to go and you had to pull your own switch off the tree and
Wow.
bring it in so that you can be spanked with it. Like
Oh,
that was part of the lesson,
oh,
and so like 100%, and realizing that not only was it a part of the parenting process, but parents were shamed if they didn't do that.
that's
Right?
true.
Like, you're not keeping your child in line. You are being a pushover. You're being, so like the good parent was the parent. So throughout my childhood, that Bible verse, spare the rod, spoil the child, was always interpreted to mean that if you don't hit your children, then you're not a good parent, or your children will go the wrong way. But the way that the word rod is used in the Bible, if you really look at it, it's not used as um, to mean that you hit, right, with the rod. So in the biblical terms, the rod is what the sheep herder uses to guide the sheep, right? How they hold the rod. They use it to guide the sheep. They also use the rod to scare away predators or things that would hurt the sheep, right? So the rod was used to guide and herd and lead the sheep in the direction that the herders wanted them to go. It was not used as a tool to hurt or harm the sheep. No herder would hit their sheep. That would not be good. Would not be a good idea. There's also another verse in the Bible that talks about it's the author of the particular psalm is speaking to God, and the author says, "Thy rod and thy staff comforts me." Right. So the author is speaking to God, saying, "Your rod and your staff comfort me." Now, it wouldn't make much sense that the author would be saying that when you beat me, that comforts me. Like, no, it's relating to that sense of when you guide me, when I know that I'm being led, then that's comforting. That feels good. So the idea that spare the rod, spoil the child means that you need to hit your child in order to discipline, which we all know, or we might know. Actually, the root word of discipline means to teach, not to hurt. So this idea that spare the rod, spoil the child means that you need to hit your child is just not an accurate interpretation of that scripture by my account. It really means that we are to guide our children.
It's amazing how many things are taken from that piece of text that are used to justify so many different things in the world.
So
and
true.
It's sad. Wow. Okay. So you had a lot of trauma from that, and
at the time,
and it was totally normal.
That's the thing. And that's why I talk about dramas versus traumas, because you don't realize that it's a trauma because it's normal. Having welts, it wasn't a real beating or a spanking if there weren't welts.
Wow.
Like, what are you complaining about, But like, if your skin wasn't raised where that whatever you got hit you, that wasn't even a thing. What was that? That was nothing, So it was this idea that is what you have to do. You have to inflict that pain. Now we know from a neuroscientific perspective that children don't learn that way. Like when any human being is in pain, the part of their brain that actually learns is shut down. It's not active. It's not able to take in information. So I still remember when I would get hit, there was like a story that went along with it.
Oh yeah, so, you were getting this because of
do this again. So like with each whack, there was a different word. I can't tell you one of those stories. None of them, because I was trying to get away. I was trying to cover myself. I was trying to make it stop. I wasn't learning. No. Yeah, and then what you were about to say, like, this hurts me more than it hurts you. I'm doing this for your own good. I'm like, are you though? I'm pretty sure this hurts me way more. I mean, you're not the one screaming and trying to escape. So,
yeah.
Just wondering.
It's pretty amazing. And I wanted to ask specifically about that because it's interesting, because as I learn about it, I kind of sometimes I kind of roll in these circles with these parenting people, and everybody's very enlightened and into mindfulness and all these things. And it's like, I think the world is great. And then I read some statistics that like 69% of American parents are still use corporal punishment. Yeah. And that was kind of probably the latest statistics, which may have been 2015 or something like that. Yeah. Don't quote me on this exactly, but it's shocking to me. Like, it's shocking to me, but it's not questioned. Like that ideology of like, this is the way we have to do it, or we're going to have spoiled children, is still not questioned. It's still really very strong in the culture.
Yeah. And actually America, I don't remember which, I was reading an article that like, we're actually one of the few countries that doesn't outlaw spanking children. Like there's only a few of them. A lot of countries you can't spank children. But America, it's like, oh no, it's fine, And so and it really baffles me, because I realize that, okay, so if you hit a child when they're 5 or 8, let's say, it's discipline. But if you hit them at 18, it's a felony. Like, you can go to jail, right? And it's like, that doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand why when a human has the least amount of the least ability to protect themselves, to get away, to defend themselves, that's when they're protected the least by the law. But when they actually have the ability, they're 18, they can get away, they can hop in a car, they can, they can do all these different things. Oh, that's when the law kicks in. And now it's no longer discipline. Now you are creating a crime. You're committing a crime when you do this. And it's such a weird way. But I also want to say, I'm not saying this to shame parents who still do this, Because I have yet to meet a parent who has said, I was not spanked as a child, but I just thought with my kids, it would be a good thing to try. I have never met that parent. I'm sure they're out there, but I have never met that parent. And, it goes back to that sense of when all you have is a hammer, everything is a nail. And when all you've been taught is this is the way to do it, this is how you protect your children, this is how you keep your children safe, this is how you make sure that your children grow up to adults and don't die or do something stupid, or right. Like, I can understand why a parent who loves their child very much would resort to that.
Yeah.
And like the old folks used to say, when you know better, you do better, right? And now we know that there's mountains of research that supports the idea that spanking is not the way to raise a child, or the only way to raise a child, not even only, the way to raise a child that's happy and healthy and connected. And, like that's not the way. And there are other ways to do it that are more helpful, more productive. But then what parents will say as well, if I talk to them or I connect with them, then they don't do what I say. And my thing is, yeah, it might not happen immediately. Like if you spank a child and you tell them to do something, or you threaten to spank them, they'll probably do the thing, but if you threaten to beat me, I will do the thing. Like, I mean, I'm not good. I'm like, okay, I'll go get whatever. I'll clean my room, whatever you want me to do. But will I be connected to you? Will I trust you more? Will I sit down in my room and say, man, I am so glad they beat me just now. Whew, that probably just saved me from years of heartache. No, I won't. That is the last thing I'm going to do. If anything, what I'm going to probably do is what I did as a child, which was sit down and figure out, how can I avoid getting caught next time?
Yeah. You learn, yes. You learn lying, you learn sneaking, you don't trust your parents. It destroys the relationship. It's fascinating. It's interesting because I look back, like, and they have all, like you said, those mountains of research. And I look back at my own life and I'm like, oh yeah, I fit into those patterns. Like when I was in high school, I was like doing drugs. I was hanging out with like dangerous people, doing dangerous things. I jumped off a bridge when I was 14 because I was like in a very rebellious, place. And a lot of that, when I look back later and say, oh, look at that research, like in a lot of ways, I was very, I got good grades, all this stuff, but like there were those patterns. Like thankfully I didn't have too many of the childhood, aces like kind of stacked against me, but still I could see those patterns like played out in the research. Oh, isn't that interesting?
100%. And I always said, there were so many times growing up where I was in trouble, and looking back, I absolutely needed an adult to help me, but I was terrified. So what my first thought was always, how can I keep this hidden from my family?
Yes.
And I said, when my kids get into those moments, God forbid, but they probably will, where they're like, uh-oh, I don't want their first thought to be, how can I hide this from my mother?
Yes.
I want their first thought to be, I got to call my mom.
Yeah.
Or I got to call my dad.
Yeah.
Right. And I want them to know that this isn't about getting in trouble. This isn't about me hurting you. It's not about me shaming you. It's not about me blaming you. It's not about any of that. It's about us coming together so that you can feel supported and loved and held and get through this. And whatever you did, there might be consequences for sure. And I will love you through those.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like we will get through it together.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to do that when I'm inflicting pain. I don't know how to create that type of connection with my child.
No, it's definitely the antithesis of that. And that's the thing. It's like when kids are adolescents, like my whole goal of everything was like, I want my kids when they're in adolescence to be able to talk to me, come to me, to have a stronger relationship with them, because that's protective of kids when they're in adolescence. Because you have an adolescent kid, there are bigger problems. Like there are more important, more lasting, intense problems that arise than when they're 2 and 3 and 6, right? Like it's just, and so if I could not kill the relationship with the 4 horsemen, the pain and the blame and all that when they're that little, then I have a chance of keeping that relationship and happily is borne out to be true so far strong when they're in their teen years. So it's, for me, I was like, oh, it's like a clear connection between this relationship you build when they're little to the relationship you're going to have with that person, that child through adolescence when they really need your influence, and then that person throughout the rest of your life.
Yes. All the parents I work with, I have a program called Trigger to Transform, and all of them will say, like, I want to create the type of relationship with my kids where when they go off to college, they actually want to come home for the holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Or when I call and they look at their phone, they don't ignore it and send me to voicemail. Like, they're like, oh, it's my mom, or oh, it's my dad, right? Like, and that's how you form that. You don't form that through the 4 horsemen. You form that by creating connection and openness. And granted, I guarantee you, there are things now that sometimes my kids say where I'm just like, oh, it'd been great if I didn't have to hear that. That's not the favorite. And they're not huge things, but just little things, like thoughts or a question. I'm like, are we really there? And I'm sure as they get older, they're going to be things, they're going to come to me and be like, so I did a thing, and I'm going to be like, all right, tell me. But I would much rather know. I would much rather know, even if it like rah.
Certainly.
Like, you did what?
Certainly much safer to know. Okay, so let's then circle back to this idea of the triggers and the drama, because this is how it happens, right? Like, you were there with your sister, but this is how it happens with your own child. Your own child's 2 years old. They're annoying, kids. And I think this is a part of the problem too, is like our expectation somehow that like kids won't be annoying, messy, frustrating, aggressive, like irritating. Like, yes, like kids are going to be all that stuff for years and years and years, right? Like, we need to, like, they're going to mess up a lot. Like, we just need to expect that they're going to be really frustrating a lot of the time, like, as they're really immature, undeveloped human beings. So our kids annoy us, they frustrate us. We have an expectation sometimes of like, it's weird, like our expectation for little babies are so minor, and then as soon as they can walk, we're like, oh, you can do everything on your own and you should do it exactly when I say so, right? And so our expectations jump up, and then we're so frustrated and something comes out of our mouth, right? Just like that did for you. And for me, like that's still like, it's so interesting because I can still my go-to when I'm frustrated, when my full brain is not online, my still the thought that comes to mind is a threat. And sometimes I say the threat, sometimes I say, oh my God, I want to threaten you right now. And I just name that's what I want to do. Yes. Sometimes I walk away. There are different things that happen for me now, but when in the beginning it came out as whatever it was yelling or it was threatening. And these are reactions, right? These are nervous system reactions. These are triggered reactions. So can you talk to us about kind of what that is and what's happening in the body for parents in this moment?
Yeah, absolutely. So in Trigger to Transformed, I use a lot of metaphors and visuals because I'm a very visual person. So I talk about how we have an empowered guide and we have triggered travelers. And if you think about it in terms of like a caravan in the desert, ideally the empowered guide leads our caravan through the desert, but usually what happens is we have these triggered travelers within us that will see something or hear something or think something that reminds them of something from our past. So they might see a shadow on a wall and then they freak out and they scream and say, oh my God, we're unsafe. We're going to be trampled or killed or eaten or destroyed or whatever. Run. And then the rest of the caravan turns and follows the triggered traveler off the hill. Now, what that looks like as a parent is our child says or does something that reminds us of something from the past. So maybe an example that happened recently, I had a father that I was working with, and growing up, he was very neglected, and so as a parent, when his child would want mama, like, I want mama, I don't want you. This would, like, his triggered traveler would say, oh no, that thing is happening again, where we're being rejected and we're being, turned away from, and we're going to be left in the house alone and nobody loves us. And we got to destroy the thing that is hurting us right now so it doesn't happen again. And so what that looked like is he would get really snarky and really mean. His kid's like 3, he didn't get it. But in Dad's mind, he was triggered. He was triggered. That when we become triggered, our kids aren't our kids. Our kids become the other. They become the thing that is threatening us, causing us pain, scaring us, leading us to feel unsafe, all the things. And from a nervous system perspective, it puts us either in the fight flight mode or in the freeze mode. And when we get into those modes, you don't connect. Those parts of our brain didn't form for connection, right? Like millions of years ago, we weren't trying to cuddle with the lion that was trying to eat us. There was no reason for that. So when you're in that fight, flight, freeze space, what you're trying to do is protect yourself. The triggered traveler is trying to protect the caravan. And so what ends up happening is you go into protection mode, and it's like your kid becomes the lion. And then once that frontal lobe comes back on, or the empowered guide gets control of the caravan again, you look back and you're like, what did I just do?
Yeah. It's all happening in microseconds. Like this whole process that you're describing is like faster than you can even have a conscious thought.
It is. And it's because our brain is so amazing. Like, I'm a bit of a neuro nerd. I love the brain, love everything about the brain. And I'm just like, this is such a fascinating creation, how our brain works, because it realizes like that lion has like, maybe we have milliseconds to get up that tree before the lion eats us and devours us. So you don't have time to sit and think, okay, so I can choose to yell, or I can choose to be calm and say that really cool thing that I have plastered on my mirror that I read every day.
Exactly. Like you don't have time to think that. That is like, when, parents don't understand, right? That like, it's not a choice you're making. You're not like, I would like to freak out at my kid. Like no one chooses that. It's not a choice. So we are so hard and blameful of ourselves, but it's not a conscious choice. No one is consciously choosing that. And if someone's telling you that, dear listener, they're wrong. You're not.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. That's the thing too. Our trigger trap, they don't know the difference between the past and the present. So if something happens that creates body sensations, thoughts, and feelings that were triggered in the past. So if you had a horrible childhood experience and then you have it in the present moment, your brain is saying that thing is happening again. It doesn't say that happened when I was 8. Now I'm 38 and now I'm much older and I have way more resources. So I can protect. That's not a thing. It's not how it works. So that's why I say like the best thing that we can do for ourselves, I'm all for the sticky notes. Oh, my child's not giving me a hard time. My child's having a hard time. That's all great if you can access that in the moment, which eventually we can. But the first thing we have to do, and this is what happens in Triggered to Transformed, is we have to retrain our brain, retrain our nervous system, create new habits, figure out what it is that's being brought up in us in those moments. Right? Once you start to excavate what's in the backpack, that's when you can start taking off the backpack. That's when you can start pulling things out of the backpack and leaving them on the side of the road. But until then, it's going to be really hard to get those triggered travelers to stop overreacting, because in their mind, they're protecting us. That's what our brain is designed to do, protect or connect. And when your fight, flight, freeze is on, that's when you go into protect mode. When it's off, that's when you can connect. But it is really hard to connect from that protective place.
Amen to everything you said. I mean, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. We have to retrain the brain. And so, and that's the way I work with this, are the tools of mindfulness, right? The tools of practicing calming the nervous system, practicing to also to kind of like dig in and understand what those triggers are. How do you get parents started on this process of retraining the brain?
Yeah, so I have a process that I created called the PAVS framework, and it contains, it's PATHS, it's an acronym, and it basically stands for the 5 areas that I think we really have to address in order to truly start to transform and retrain how we show up in our children's lives, how we show up in our own lives, so that we can show up as the parent we truly want to be. And P stands for perspective. And what that relates to is the stories in our head. Those stories, oh my gosh, will get us in trouble every single time, because I guarantee you, when that brain is triggered, you're going to tell yourself stories that protect you, not stories that lead to connection. So the whole, my child's not giving me a hard time, my child's having a hard time, that is great in connection mode. Protection mode, my child's manipulative, my child's being a brat, my child's being, right? It's to separate you. Again, you don't want to hug the lion. So when you're in that moment, realizing in beforehand, like, what are the stories that you're telling yourself when your child does those things? Get really clear on those for yourself early. That way, when they pop up, you can recognize them and you can catch them faster.
Yeah.
The A stands. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, I mean, those stories are, and it is something, it's something we have to address after the fact or outside of the fact. Like, it is like not, and so what Lynetta is talking about is not super comfortable, right? We have to kind of revisit that moment and say, what was I thinking? We have to look at this like moment in ourselves that we may have felt, we later may feel ashamed of. We may feel it was like an ugly moment, right? Where we may have had anger and aggression, all of these feelings, which are, I mean, especially anger and aggression, totally verboten for women to have. Moms, gosh forbid, like that. A mom should be angry and aggressive. So the whole process of, even like, dear listener, you listening to this right now, and even, as we talk about this, considering the idea that you would look back on these parts of yourself that aren't so pretty, is a positive step towards accepting that this is part of being a human, and this is part of, just accepting these parts of ourselves are part of what we have to do in order to get some perspective, in order to then be able to be that parent we want to be for our kid.
100%. And in the A, that stands for awareness. And it kind of goes back to something you said earlier, which I loved, when you said, sometimes I tell my kids, I really want to threaten you right now, right? Like, being aware and being authentic. I am so, oh my gosh, if I could just get on a soapbox for 1 second.
Oh,
this idea,
say it.
This idea that infuses the parenting world right now, that we have to be all kind and pretty and nice with our kids all the time. It's like, it's not possible. I'm not saying go out and call your kid names, not that, but owning what you're feeling. I am really angry right now. I am really frustrated right now. I need to take a break right now, but when we try to pretend like we're like, oh, everything's fine. And number one, our kids know we're lying, because our kids have also developed this beautiful ability called neuroception, where it's our ability to tell, like, be able to really read someone's facial expressions, read their body language. They know when you're not fine. And what that does is it confuses them, because you're saying everything's fine. It's fine. But they're looking at you and they're like, but you don't look fine. So now they're like, I don't know what fine versus not fine is, right? So being authentic, it teaches them to be authentic too.
And to be able to trust you. Like, they can't trust you if you say, I'm calm, I'm fine, and you're not. They learn to not trust you or believe you because you're lying.
Yes, exactly. And then you learn not to trust you and believe you because you're lying. So it's like, I can't do this. I'm just going to screw up my kid. No. So be authentic. And one of the ways that we can do this is through self-awareness. And this is a really, really big piece of the puzzle. Being able to be aware of not just your thoughts, but your body sensations and your feelings. And if you grew up like I did, I've had a love-hate relationship with my body sensations and my feelings, because feelings it was always like, stop crying before I give you something to cry about. So I always felt like, oh, I guess this must not be cry-worthy. Like, the fact that thing happened, I must not. So I got to a point where I didn't trust my feelings. I didn't trust my body sensations. I didn't understand what they were for. And when I did feel sad or mad or mad was okay. But if I felt sad or wounded in some way, in my mind, these are liabilities. I need to get rid of these horrible feelings because they're just going to send me, these aren't helpful. So being
You had to
able
defend
to
yourself.
reconnect. Yes.
Yeah, you had to be
Yes.
defensive. You had to have some armor around you to protect yourself in that environment. That's exactly what I see in my dad. Still, actually, he has all this armor, right, from when he was a kid to defend himself. It's interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so being able to one of the biggest things I had to do was become aware of what are my body sensations, stop living from the neck up, and then being able to connect with them in a way that felt safe. Right? Because it's really easy to be like, sit down and do a body scan. Well, not everybody feels safe in their body, right? So figuring out ways to do that in a way that feels safe to you. Maybe it's not sitting down and doing a body scan. Maybe it's dancing or going for a quick jog and just noticing what that feels like in your body, doing things that feel good to you, and then just noticing how that feels in that space. Right? It could be something that's helpful. So being aware of what are my body sensations, realizing that emotions are your friends. They're just signposts. That's all they are. They're just signposts that give you insight into what you need, where you are, and where you'd prefer to be. Right? So if you think about standing on a corner with your little backpack, looking up at a signpost, right? Like that's what the emotion is. It's just the signpost, right? And it's like, if it's like anger that way, okay, so what's that way? Oh, the whole nighttime battle thing. Okay, that makes me angry. And then you can get some insight into, when do I start to feel that in my body? When do I start to notice that emotion? And that's where you can start moving into T, which are the tools. And I always say we're always using tools. It's never a question about not using a tool. The question is the tool I'm using helpful or unhelpful? So taking 5 deep breaths is a tool, yelling is a tool. They're both tools.
I like that.
One will just probably lead you in a direction that will probably make you more angry, and the other will probably lead you in the direction that at the very least won't move the needle at all. Like you won't get more angry. You might not get less, but you won't get more, right? So once you become aware and you start to read the signposts, read your body sensations, read your emotions, then you can start using them to discern like, oh, what leads me to move in the direction that I want to go, in the more helpful direction, and what leads me in the least helpful direction. And in Trigger to Transform, there's a whole module that we do where you literally create your own stress management system. I mean, I worked for years by teaching people stress management techniques. And then I realized, wait a minute, you know your nervous system better than me. Why don't we just create one for you even better, right? Like it's going to work for you. And because this is so important. It's so key. I can sit up here and I can tell you all the things to do, but it's your nervous system. And what it's really about is getting in touch with your nervous system and learning how your nervous system operates and what your nervous system needs. So once you get that, then you can start to choose, what are tools that I can access before that moment happens? Because now I know what it feels like in my body and what I'm noticing before it happens, and even during. What, like when I'm in that moment and I start to recognize, oh wait, oh crap, I'm doing that thing again. What do I need in that moment? What's one thing I can do or say or whatever to help pull me out? Like one of my clients, she'll start singing Disney movie songs. It's awesome.
Let it go. Let it go.
We don't talk about Bruno. No. She'll just start singing a song. And it's actually uplifting because, and she said when she first did it, her kids were like, what?
Yeah.
What is happening?
Complete confusion.
Right. But now when she sings the Bruno song, her kids realize like, oh, mom's flying off the cliff again, and she'll just belt it out. She also, I think, happens to be a great singer. So for me, my kids would probably run, but her kids might even join in.
That's hilarious. I think it'd be amazing just like her kids take on this tradition and like start like a new habit in their family, and they like start singing the songs and anyway.
I know.
I like that
it's
vision.
Like a musical.
Yeah.
It's like a Mary Poppins movie. Everybody just starts singing randomly, So like, what's something that you can do in the moment that'll create that pattern interrupt, right? Just one thing. So getting clear on your stories, befriending your emotions and your body sensations, choosing like tiny tools that you can access before and during those triggering moments. And then H stands for healing. And this is where, you know, we start to really excavate what's in the backpack. Right? And I always say, like, when you're in those moments, asking yourself what needs to be healed or what needs to be honored. Right? So in that moment with my sister, I might have needed to heal some past stuff, you know, that I grew up with. I might need to honor the fact that I was hungry or that I was tired, right? Like one of the biggest mantras in Triggered to Transformed is my needs matter.
Yeah.
Because as I remember when I said that to a T2 team member, I said, what does that bring up in you when I say that my needs matter? She was like, I'm pretty sure I had to leave those in the hospital before they let me leave with the baby. Like, she's like, I'm pretty sure I signed those away. I think I remember a piece of paper where I signed away my needs. And that's how a lot of us live, right? Like, my needs don't matter, which also contributes to this sense of like, I'm okay, really, I'm fine. You know, I'm not allowed to be angry, or you know, anger is bad. You know, it's like, it's just a signpost, right? So realizing what within me, I always say triggers need to be healed, stressors need to be honored, right? So those triggers, those things that are coming up from your past, like when you're present, when your past impacts your parenting, that's a trigger. That's something that's coming up, that is something's happening that's reminding you of something from the past. When your present impacts your parenting, that's a stressor, right? Like maybe you need to eat more, maybe you need to sleep longer, maybe, and more than likely, they're all intertwined with each other. But the clearer that you can get, like I know for me, after like 6, 7 p.m., I'm no good as a mom. I'm done.
Oh, me
like,
too.
That's when I'm just drowning at that point. Please don't say or do anything that's gonna like.
Oh my God.
Stressed.
My teenager, she comes in, we go, you know, we're like, Bill and I would go to bed. Like sometimes we're like in bed at like 9:15, we're just reading, chilling. She comes in at 9:15, like fairly often, it starts to talk to us about like somehow this is the time of day she has realized I have unanswered questions, there are logistical things, all this stuff. She comes into the bedroom, she wants to talk logistics with us at 9:15, and we're just like, oh, child, like, oh, no, we cannot do this.
What are you doing to me?
Not at this. I'm sorry, no. And she gets so frustrated with us sometimes, but we just had to hold that boundary again and again. Like, I'm sorry, we cannot do this at this time of night. No.
Right, I'm gonna need you to write that down.
Yeah, right.
Like, oh, I forgot. You got to take me to Target right now because I have this project, and you're just gonna have to live with that consequence because it ain't happening.
Yeah.
What?
I love that though. What you said, triggers need to be healed, stressors need to be honored. And in that whole, it's like about your needs matter. I mean, this is where this all comes through. And then we're teaching our kids that when they're parents, their needs will matter too. They won't feel the need to unhealthily self-sacrifice themselves. So.
Oh, you're not helping. Self-care is family care. You're not helping. You're not caring. We think, I've thought this, like, if I give this up and I stay up late and I get up early and then I'm helping my family. No, I'm not, because then I'm a brat.
Yeah.
Like we talk about our kids being annoying. I'm super annoying when I don't get sleep. Are you kidding me? You want to talk about stressing out my kids and triggering them? Like, they're like, oh, it's her again. Right? So realizing like, that's not helpful. It's not. And then the S stands for self-empowerment. And this is where it all comes together. When we're able to truly walk the other paths, really get clear on our stories, start befriending our bodies and our feelings, start to choose and implement tools that feel good to us, and start healing and honoring what's going on in our lives. That's when we can start to truly feel empowered. That's when all of the habit shifts and the rewiring, we can bring those together in a helpful way and start to feel empowered in our relationship with our kids. Because we can say, I always say, you always have power in a situation. Even if you're like stuck in the middle of the forest in a sleeping bag with a broken zipper and there are ants crawling in your sleeping bag and you can't get out, whatever, you still have power. It sounds horrible, but you can like hop to the ranger station or something, right? So realizing you have power. There is power. You have power within yourself. You have power to set boundaries. You have power to do all of these things, but it's hard to access that power when our nervous system is hijacked, when our triggered travelers are leading us off the cliff, when, when we can't get clear on where we are in the moment and what we need to move forward.
Well, this is beautiful. I love the way you laid out your system and the whole thing, and it completely coincides with what I teach in mindful parenting, the awareness, the tools, the healing, the empowerment. This is what we need. What needs to be healed, what needs to be honored, and then we can start to show up skillfully rather than unskillfully, right? Then we can put aside those 4 horsemen and make it a relationship rather than a power struggle, which is like amazing. I have the feeling that I could like geek out with you with this for a long time, but we're gonna honor your time.
Really good.
This is so beautiful. So just thinking about, for those of us who, those listeners who are struggling with feeling triggered, they're struggling with those things. Any final last words for that listener?
Yeah, I would just say one of the things I love to say to people is there are going to be times where you're going to start to wonder, and you probably already do if this conversation has resonated with you, where you start to think, okay, either I'm broken or my kid's broken or our relationship is broken. Something's broken, not sure which, maybe all 3, and what I want to say is you're not broken, your kid's not broken, your relationship isn't even broken, but you likely have habits that need to be. Yes. And that's what we're talking about here, shifting those habits. And when I find when we think about these as unhelpful habits, it becomes more digestible. Right? As opposed to, I have to fix and heal everything that everybody ever did all the way back to the caveman days in my lineage. Like, good luck with that. Let me know how you figure that out. But, it's like, it's really, you're talking about shifting habits. And like I said earlier, I use the word dramas very intentionally because things that were passed down from generation to generation, they're not technically our traumas all the time. They're not always things we experienced, but they're still things that were passed down and played out in generation. Like if you think about slavery or the Holocaust, things like that, research is clear that those things still impact the descendants to this day, even though, like, I'm a Black woman, I wasn't enslaved, and so, but there are things that are passed down from generation to generations that play out. So when I say dramas, I mean that literally, like a drama on the stage. These dramas play out, and those dramas lead to habits. But habits can be changed. Habits can be broken, and you absolutely can do it if you're willing to put in the time and the energy and the effort to get the work done. Find accountability. Find community. Come over to Triggered or Transformed. I'm there for you. Whatever you need to do to find that accountability in that community, you can absolutely shift this so that you're not passing down. You're saying, this stops with me. This stops with my generation. It will not continue. And that's what I did with my sister in the kitchen that day. And you can absolutely do that for yourself and your kids as well.
Yes, definitely. I couldn't agree more. Yes, we can be that change that we want to see. I love that so much. Awesome. So, Lynetta has a children's book, some other things. Where can people find you if they want to reach out?
Yes. So if you want to find out more about me, I invite you to go to parentingtriggerscore.com. parentingtriggerscore.com. There is a quiz that I created there that you can take, and it will reveal to you what your parenting trigger score is. So how you tend to show up when you're in those triggered moments, and it will help you to begin your path's journey. And the other thing, once you sign up for that, you'll also get a series of emails that will actually help you to walk the paths that I described here today. So please go to Parenting Trigger Score, take that quiz, and get started.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I've so enjoyed talking to you. I've everything you said. Yes, 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 and I love it. So I really appreciate you, doing this work in your own life, and then being able to, taking this and sharing it with the world in your unique voice and your perspective. It has incredible effects and ripple effects. So thank you so much for doing that and for coming on the Mindful Mama podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, and ditto to all the things. Thank you for doing this work too, and for allowing us to share our voices and for sharing your voice with the world as well.
Catch new episodes of the Mindful Mama podcast and other free resources, including the Mindful Mom Guide at mindfulmamamentor.com. You can listen to every back catalog episode, including interviews with Dr. Dan Siegel, Ianla Van Zandt, Sharon Salzberg, and get meditations, join our private Facebook group, and more. Go to mindfulmamamentor.com now. I'll see you there.